Hey guys, welcome back to Dogforge. My name's Paul, and we're continuing our look through the Mordenkainen Presents Monsters of the Multiverse Races reviews. You have no idea how many times I have said Mordenkainen Presents Monsters of the Multiverse at this point, and it's a little maddening. But today we're looking into the Aasimar, and let's just get straight into it. So, straight away, the Aasimar is one of the races that were treated to new art. This time we have a depiction of what I believe to be a Scourge Aasimar with flightless wings and eyes that have become pools of darkness. And as we all know, the colour of darkness is red. Now, just in case that any of you are unfamiliar, there are some universal changes to races that are going to be reflected here, one of them being the ability score improvements that you get. So this is now basically boilerplate for all races. You can have a +2 and +1 of your choice, or 3 +1s of your choice, as opposed to a +2 charisma and a +1 in a stat determined by the subrace. Languages are now common and a language that you and your DM agree, instead of previously, which would have been common and celestial. And then you basically live for as long as a human. Getting into the meat and potatoes of the issue, you are a humanoid. This is a new change in the size. You can now be small. This does not affect your walking speed, which will be 30 feet regardless. But if you're an Aasimar and you fancy riding on, a summoned Mastiff, or Steel Defender, or any other companions, that is an option now available to you. Celestial resistance remains the same from its original form in Volos. You gain resistance to necrotic and radiant damage. Radiant is much more niche overall, but necrotic is a nice resistance to have. 60 feet of darkness as standard, but now we start to get into some changes. Healing Hands. This was previously, as an action, you can touch a creature and heal them a number of hit points equal to your level. That has now changed to rolling a number of d4s equal to your proficiency bonus. However, this is still only once per long rest, the same as it was previously, and overall this is a bit of a nerf, to be honest, and I think that is going to be an overarching theme with the Aasimar, in my opinion. I think they are better off in some very small ways, but overall they have got hit with the nerf hammer quite a bit. So the averages of the d4s are going to be 5, 7.5, 10, increasing your average 2.5 every time you get an increase in your proficiency modifier. This is just worse. The average is not high enough to warrant the randomness of dice, and in my opinion and experience, you do not want to roll some dice exclusively for your healing when you most need it. Yes, you could end up with as high as 8 hit points at first level, but you could also just as easily end up with 2. So I prefer the reliability of Healing Hands, and I honestly appreciated how it was similar to Lay on Hands but different. This is overall nerf, and I am not fond of that. Light Bearer. Now this is the same, you do have the light cantrip, and this is where things start to get a little bit odd, as your charisma is your spellcasting ability for it. This was perfectly normal on the original Aasimar, as charisma was their primary stat. However, in the new age of choosing your own stats and choosing your spellcasting modifiers, this looks like a glaring copy and paste error, to be honest. I don't see any design reason or justification for this. Now, for the transformation itself, there has been a change to the Aasimar. Instead of being a overarching race with sub-races, it is now just a single race, and you choose the type of transformation you get. So we'll go through these one by one, starting off with Necrotic Shroud, which used to be the, I believe, the Fallen Aasimar. The Fallen Aasimar used to receive a +1 strength, and so this is as a bonus action. and this applies to all transformations. They are a bonus action that lasts for a minute or until you end it as a bonus action. Creatures other than your allies within 10 feet of you that can see you must succeed on a charisma saving throw, DC 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your charisma modifier, or become frightened of you until the end of your next turn. Until the transformation ends, once on each of your turns, you can deal extra necrotic damage to one target when you deal damage to it with an attack or spell. The extra damage equals your proficiency bonus. Okay, so there is an improvement here. There is no longer the risk of friendly fire and scaring your own allies, and that is great. The dependency on charisma is just further weird, and if you have chosen to play a non-charisma based class, or you just have chosen not to have a particularly good or even a dumped charisma, then this is really not an appealing option to you, as your DC will be awful. Combined with that, this range on it is still a very meager 10 feet. The duration of it is still only a turn, and it's, compared to the others, very lackluster in that the other abilities go on for the entire transformation. The fear effect is very short-lived, and you get necrotic damage instead of radiant damage, which is slightly worse. In terms of the additional damage, this is another point of nerfing. The additional damage used to be equal to your level. However, now it is equal to your proficiency bonus, which is substantially worse, and yet it is still restricted to only once per turn. This is really one of the glaring nerfs that the Aasimar has received, and I assume the justification is now the transformation is a bonus action. It's much more friendly to use than an action. But the difference in damage is so great that you're probably still going to be worse off, even though you've still been able to use your action to attack or cast a spell. Moving on to Radiant Consumption, where this problem compounds. So this was previously the ability of the Scourge Aasimar subrace, which had a +1 constitution, and now for the duration you spread bright light in 10-foot radius and dim light for an additional 10 feet, and at the end of each of your turns, each creature within 10 feet of you takes radiant damage equal to your proficiency bonus. Now, this used to be equal to your level, and of course in both cases you are resistant to your own damage. However, this is improved somewhat depending on how you read it. You can read this so that it no longer affects you at all. That is certainly a valid interpretation of it, but I would say double check with your DM if they agree with that reading. The damage getting nerfed to your proficiency bonus really doubles down on the reduction in damage overall. Let's say that you are a 5th level Aasimar. You are now doing 3 as the bonus damage and 3 as your aura damage, whereas previously you could have been doing a total of 10 damage per turn. You're losing 4 damage per turn. Over the course of an entire fight, particularly a tougher fight, which is when you're going to want to use this, you're going to end up losing a lot of damage. Not great, but for some people the bonus action transformation may be worth it. Finally, we have Radiant Soul for those that want to go full angel. This was formerly the ability of the Protector Aasimar that had a +1 wisdom, and for this, 2 luminous spectral wings sprout from your back for the duration of the transformation. Whilst there, you have a flying speed equal to your walking speed, and then you additionally get the damage once per turn equal to your proficiency bonus. Bonus action flight is significantly better. This is, in my opinion, the one that really wins. The others are somewhat of an improvement in some ways, but the reduction of damage really kills them off. At the very least, being able to set up a fly speed as a bonus action does have a lot of utility to it. Overall, my impression of the Aasimar is that they are worse. They are most certainly more flexible than they used to be. You can plug them into more classes than you could previously without risking your stat progression. However, I would argue that as long as the action cost to set up your transformation was tolerable to you, which for a lot of people it was, having perfect stats is not the be-all, end-all, and the nerf they have received in return for that bonus action is just too significant. Combined with some very questionable DC choices, they should have just had the charisma swapped out by an intelligence, wisdom, or charisma of your choice. It really highlights some design issues with the book, in my opinion, that they say they want everybody to be shoulder to shoulder. However, there are very clearly some races that have come out of this book as winners, some as losers, and some that have not really gained anything at all. But that is just my rambling opinion on the Aasimar. What do you guys think? Do you like the new Aasimar? Do you think it's stronger, weaker? Do you think it comes out about the same? Do you think the flexible stats matter enough that it's an improvement? Let us know in the comment section down below. Like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you haven't already, and until next time, I've been Paul and I'll see you at the Forge.